appropriate safety measures. Hello.
Welcome back, Warner fam. Today, I've got a recap of the intense 2021 horror action flick Blood Red Sky. Keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The film kicks off with a plane slicing through the sky, flanked by 2 military jets. The tension thickens as a group of soldiers watches closely from a distance, receiving urgent reports. They're on high alert at the airport, waiting for something to go wrong. The plane lands, but the soldiers don't relax. They stay vigilant, their eyes scanning every inch for any signs of danger. A boy named Elias steps off the plane, his face pale, his eyes wide with fear. But inside the cockpit, there's something off. A man, who isn't the dead pilot, sits in the captain's seat. The commanding officer thinks this is the terrorist behind the hijacking, and orders the man to follow his commands. As security moves in on Elias, they demand answers. What happened inside that plane? A flashback takes us to Elias standing alone at the airport, holding a suitcase and looking nervous. He's waiting for his mother, hoping she'll show up soon. At check-in, the staff asks where his parents are, and Elias tells them that his mother, Nadia, will be there shortly. He calls her, and we learn that they are heading to New York for her treatment. Nadia has a rare illness, and she needs a special serum every day to stay alive. Just then, Nadia rushes up, and together, they hurry to board the plane. But something doesn't feel right. On the plane, Nadia opens her diary, flipping through the pages. She stops when she sees a photo of herself, her husband Nikolai, and a younger Elias. The picture brings back memories of a time long ago. The scene fades to a snowy night, years before. Nadia and Nikolai are driving with young Elias when suddenly their car breaks down. Nikolai says he'll go find help, leaving Nadia and Elias alone in the freezing cold. Back in the present, on the plane, a passenger starts complaining about losing internet access. But then, a flight attendant steps in, acting calm and collected. Little do they know, this flight attendant is actually one of the terrorists, named 8-Ball. Suddenly, chaos erupts. Without warning, 8-Ball pulls out a knife and slashes one passenger, sending everyone into a panic. Blood splatters as 8-Ball, now covered in it, pulls out a gun. With a cold smile, he announces that the plane has been hijacked by a group of terrorists. The hijackers order everyone to the back of the cabin, revealing that one pilot is already dead. They demand a ransom for the safety of everyone on board. One of the terrorists yanks up the cabin carpeting, revealing the plane's radio system. With a few quick moves, he disables it, making sure no one can track their location. The other terrorists order the passengers to put their hands on the seatbacks in front of them, leaving them frozen in fear. Elias spots something in the flight safety manual, a diagram showing a way to hide in the cargo hold. But Nadia quickly warns him to stay still and do what the hijackers say. Still, Elias is just a kid, and without thinking, he rushes toward the front cabin. Nadia's heart races. "Elias, no!" she screams, but it's too late. 8-Ball shoots her twice. Elias screams for his mother, tears rushing down his face. Shocked by the sudden violence, one of the other terrorists yanks Elias back to his seat. "Stay quiet," he growls, gripping Elias tightly. Elsewhere, 8-Ball finds Nadia's bag, still holding her medication. He examines it carefully, unaware that Nadia is waking up. Despite her injuries, Nadia slowly regains consciousness. As her mind clears, memories flood back. She remembers a time when she was waiting for Nikolai, but hours passed with no sign of him. Desperate, she decided to head into the woods. She eventually stumbled upon a lonely, isolated house. Inside, the smell of blood hung in the air. Nadia followed the bloodstains, her heart sinking as she found Nikolai's lifeless body. Just as her world fell apart, a shadowy figure appeared, like something out of a nightmare. It was a vampire, and before Nadia could react, it attacked. The creature sank its teeth into her hand, but with the first light of dawn, it vanished into the shadows. The scene shifts back to the present. Nadia spots a small entryway leading down to the plane's lower cargo compartment. With quick, quiet steps, she slips away, careful not to be noticed. Not long after, 2 terrorists enter the hold, searching for a container of liquid explosives. As they move around, one of them hears strange noises and goes to investigate. He's shocked when he finds Nadia lurking in the shadows, her eyes glowing. A tense standoff follows, and Nadia can't hold back her vampiric instincts any longer. She attacks, overpowering the terrorist with fierce speed and strength. As she does, her hand wound heals instantly, the skin stitching together before his eyes. Her fangs grow longer, sharper. Nadia, breathless and confused, briefly considers injecting her serum to stop the transformation, but she hesitates, unsure of what to do next. Meanwhile, it becomes clear that the terrorists have a deadly plan. They intend to use a bomb and toxic gas to make sure no one can stop them. Back upstairs, Nadia, trying to stay calm and blend in, quietly slips into the main cabin and finds Elias. She pulls him aside, whispering urgently to him, and they head toward the cockpit. But when they arrive, they find it empty. Panicking, Nadia runs outside the cockpit and calls out, hoping someone can help. "If you can fly this plane, speak up now," a passenger volunteers, and Nadia rushes him to the cockpit. As Elias watches, his heart races. He notices something strange about his mother. Her appearance has changed. She's consumed blood. At that moment, 8-Ball finds Nadia's medication and puts it together. She's still alive. Furious, he starts searching the plane to find her. When he reaches the cockpit door and finds it locked, the terrorists shoot a warning shot. The bullet strikes a passenger, ending their life. The cold message is clear. Nadia has to open the door. Desperate, they turn to a young girl in the cabin, threatening her life to force Nadia's surrender. Fury takes over Nadia, and she attacks the intruders, knocking them down. She quickly retreats to the restroom, her heart racing. Inside, she stares at her reflection and sees her transformation worsening. Her vampiric side is taking control. 8-Ball, now knowing that Nadia is a vampire, tries to warn the other terrorists. At first, they don't believe him, but he convinces them, explaining that vampires are weak in bright light. His plan? Use a flashlight to trap Nadia. Meanwhile, Nadia is in the restroom, desperately trying to inject herself with serum, but as she struggles, she loses consciousness. In the cockpit, Elias sees the terrorists getting closer to his mother. Heart racing, he runs to the restroom, determined to save her. But 8-Ball is already waiting. As Nadia moves forward, he flashes the light right in her face, weakening her instantly. With her defenseless, he pulls out a syringe and takes some of Nadia's blood. Elias, desperate to protect his mother, points a gun at 8-Ball and pulls the trigger, but the shot misses and crashes into a window. The impact causes the cabin to depressurize, and oxygen levels plummet, throwing everyone into panic. Nadia looks at Farid, her voice trembling but determined. "Keep Elias safe," she pleads. Before turning to face 8-Ball, she knows she has to stop him. Nadia rushes toward the cargo hold, where 8-Ball is hiding in a vehicle. She plans to set it on fire, trapping him inside. But just as the flames start, the terrorists trigger the fire suppression system, and the fire quickly dies out. They race down to the cargo hold, catching a glimpse of Nadia's inhuman form as she slips through a gap to escape. One of the terrorists opens the vehicle, only to find 8-Ball still alive, but now fully transformed into a vampire. Before anyone can react, 8-Ball attacks, turning on his own teammates. Chaos fills the plane. Passengers start pointing fingers at Nadia, blaming her for the violence. Convinced she's the real danger. Feeling trapped, Nadia fights back, but her main focus is to stop 8-Ball and his new vampire allies from attacking the other passengers. In a tense standoff, Nadia does everything she can to protect the passengers from the vampires spreading among the hijackers. As she fights, Farid is bitten. Desperate to save him, Nadia has no choice but to cut off his hand to stop the infection from spreading. One of the terrorists, who knows how to fly the plane, is convinced to turn the plane around and ask air traffic control for help. But just when they think they're gaining control, someone hears strange noises from the cargo hold. When they open it, more vampires slip out. It's too late. They start biting passengers, and the plane is soon filled with chaos and terror. The survivors, panicked and desperate for air, bang on the cockpit door, but the chaos inside grows worse. Many of them are starting to turn into vampires. Trapped inside, the cockpit becomes a ticking time bomb itself. Nadia, Elias, Farid, and the few unaffected people gather together to come up with a plan to stop the outbreak. One of the terrorists, knowing the plane's layout, reveals a narrow tunnel leading to the cargo hold. He plans to retrieve a time bomb stored there to keep it from going off. Since the tunnel is too small for an adult, Elias bravely volunteers to crawl through and disarm the bomb. When Elias finally reaches the cargo hold, he's horrified by what he sees. The vampires are everywhere, but the flashlight in his hand keeps them at bay. However, just as he tries to head back, one of the vampires attacks, knocking the flashlight from his grip. Surrounded and trapped, Elias is in serious danger. Without hesitation, Nadia races to his rescue. Before she leaves, she gives Farid a heavy responsibility. Keep Elias safe and look after him, no matter what happens. When Nadia arrives, she faces 8-Ball head-on, but he quickly overpowers her. Elias, feeling helpless for his mother, distracts 8-Ball just long enough for Nadia to get a break. With quick thinking, Elias blows open a door, giving Nadia the chance to shove 8-Ball away. Desperate, Elias tries to wake Nadia up, but before he can, 8-Ball grabs him. Seeing this, Farid acts fast, tilting the plane to let the sunlight pour in. The light hits 8-Ball, causing his body to burn as he falls to the ground. Elias, desperate to wake his mother, accidentally cuts his hand, and his blood drips into her mouth. In a shocking moment, Nadia regains consciousness. Elias rushes to hug her, but she pulls back, afraid she might lose control over her bloodlust. The scene shifts, and we find Elias at the airport, now surrounded by police officers. He remembers Farid and urgently pleads with the officers to let him go before sunset. Elias tries to explain explain to the officers that the plane is filled with vampires. But they don't believe him, thinking he's just in shock. They end up sedating him, ignoring his desperate warnings. Meanwhile, Farid, still stuck in the cockpit, tries to tell the soldiers the truth, asking them to believe him and let him out. But they don't trust him either, thinking he might be one of the terrorists. As the sun starts to set, Farid sees his chance and escapes. The soldiers quickly rush to catch him. The vampires soon attack the soldiers, causing chaos all around. Elias wakes up and escapes, still determined to find Farid. He doesn't know that Farid has already been taken off the plane, but he keeps running towards the aircraft, hoping to find him. Then, Elias sees his mother, now completely a vampire, running towards him. With no other choice, Elias decides to blow up the plane. Farid sees the explosion and rushes to Elias, where they finally embrace. The film ends. What do you think would have happened if Elias hadn't detonated the plane? How do you think the story would have ended? So if you liked this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more recaps. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Warner Movie Recaps.